Hey, good afternoon. How y'all doing? It is Well Red Beard. Let's talk about a book. We are here for a book review. I've got another poetry review for you. And this one is called White Van. Now, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I know my poetry reviews do not get as many views as my prose reviews, but don't go anywhere. You don't want to leave on this one. White Van. White Van by Meg Tuite. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but Tuite. White Van. You don't want to leave it. This is abduction horror. Well, where in the world else are you going to hear about a collection of abduction horror? And the White Van. I know you're just like me. It makes you think of Buffalo Bill and the Silence of the Lambs and the White Van. It may have not been white, but the abduction van, the van when he's throwing the girl in the back. Do you know? Trivia. Piece of trivia here. What song is playing when he abducts the girl in Silence of the Lambs? Do you know? It's American Girl by Tom Petty. Well, she was an American girl raised on promises. All right, that's enough singing for this one. But White Van by Meg Tuite. This is a special collection. Very, very dark. I'm not going to use my words to tell you about it. I'm going to use Gabrielle Lutz, the author of Worsted. It's right here on the back because I read this and the way she says it is way better than I can say it. Gorgeously brutal, jaggedly mattering. Meg Tuite's incantations crackle with the clarities of a true visionary. White Van treats the trample and grime of trauma with cleansing ecstasies of language. This book will turn you inside out. First, can we pause for just a second? The trample and grime of trauma with cleansing ecstasies of language. God damn, that's good. Anyway, so I really enjoyed this book. It's dark, it's brutal, it's ugly, it's abduction poetry, it's missing posters, it's milk cartons, it's all of that, and it's a collection just about that, which I find really really cool. And I've been doing that recently. Like I've read collections that are not just dark poetry that have really really narrowed their focus down onto abduction. I just read another one that's all about victims, which of course reminded me of, and that was from Marge Simon and Mary Terzillo, which reminded me of Sina Palaio's book In the Forest and all the way through, or I may be a little bit off on the title, but also Avram Margariti's Saint of Witches, which was all about witchy stuff. So I really like these collections of horror poetry that are, again, laser focused on one particular subject. It really it feels like a concept album, right? It feels like where one song rolls right into the next, and they're not a bunch of different, subject matters talked about in the same scenario or the same place. But there's a lot of. I'm going to tell you my favorite poems here in a little bit. I'm going to read you one. Now, these are longer-ish poems, not really in like page length, but a lot of them are written more like in a paragraph type format. Like so as a guy that, man, it's hard to say, but probably prefers prose to poetry. I mean, reads poetry more because I'm smart enough to know that I should read poetry. But for me, since I am probably more of a prose person, these poems really like kind of, I mean, you still have to interpret them, but it was, I guess, I'm not going to say it was easier to interpret, but full thoughts were there, full ideas rather than, like segments, rather than, I mean, I felt that, well, I always say that, poetry is like a corner of the picture and I'm left to interpret it and fill in the rest of it. These felt like more complete images, more complete ideas. So I'm going to tell you a couple highlights here, little things I liked. Some of this, some of these I marked like entire poems. Some of them I marked just little segments. But there's a line here that talks about decimation. And I really love this final line, but I'm going to read you the final paragraph just so you get an idea what I'm talking about. There's nothing special here. Again, this poem is called Where the Street Meets the Body. Again, this is abduction stuff. So There's nothing special here. It is as simple as surrender to the paralysis of another day. We are told there are choices. Anything can happen. The strange invitation I read and abide by is much like building a fire to keep the bones warm. I will meld into the fabric that has comforted me. I am tethered to my ghost of yesterday. Somehow he keeps me planted in that strange patch of decimation I call home. There's so much there in that one paragraph, right? Building a fire to keep the bones warm, right? I mean, um, the ghost of yesterday, tethered to my ghost of yesterday in the strange patch of decimation I call home. I love that shit. And there's little shit like that throughout this entire thing. Another one here. He moves from city to city. Again, this is called Even the Leaves Are Dead. He moves from city to city, animal shelter to shelter. A huge cage sits in the back of the van, wriggling with kittens. His target practice when he was a boy. Now his practice targets kids. Two girls in a forest. Two girls in a forest focus on a kitten. He secures the rope between his fists. This one is long enough for two little necks. Shit. So that's an example of a couple like segments I liked, and still didn't really necessarily select those as my favorite poems. My favorite poems in this book, if pressed, and again, it's absolutely full of good shit. But I really liked Snapshot. I really liked Humiliation in Installments. And I think I narrowed it down to like 5, but I really liked, I can't pronounce this word, Pantoum, Pantoum, a crime scene. Pantoum, a crime scene. And let's see here, there's 2 more that I marked here in the back. Make No Mistake, Foretaste of Loss. It's an odd title, but Make No Mistake, Foretaste of Loss, and Rusting in a Backlot. Now, Rusting in a Backlot, I want to say I read this book probably 4 months ago, and I'm just circling back to this. So Rusting in a Backlot may not have been my favorite. I did not reread it before coming here to talk to you about it, but it is a shorter example of Meg's poetry. So it's still kind of longish. So if you want to go, I'll understand. I won't understand. But this is called Rusting in a Backlot. 3 abortions and a pack of smokes later. She houses in one of those sheds. 16 years old, she rakes through time like a goddamn Rolodex. When she is 6, no one notices men with tongues flattened against playground fences. Same number of concrete squares. Sidewalk collapses into sleepy steps, home with eyes closed. One grit of a man grinds himself under her heels. Not a kid or parent red lights the girth of Officer Friendly. No one plagues the stranger's plan, sucks her inside his van, chokes in her own solitude. 6 years old, easy as a candy bar shoplift, gone. Everyone goes on about the neighborhood angst, signs they put up. Parents plead for the kid. Please, they say. Rewards, 5,000, 10,000, and no conviction if you just give her back. That shit blows in the wind of nothing in less than 2 weeks. 10 years later, please, no scars are left. Photos remain, memories remain, but a body? Nah. Family and friends come together once a year to curl in the leaks of her being. No cops. That is a done deal. I love that. I love that curl in the leaks of her being. Anyway, abduction poetry, horror poetry, dark poetry. And you want it and you need it. And this is Meg Tuite, White Van. And I don't think I said this. But I'm going to give this one 5 stars. and it will be up for Poetry Collection of the Year, along with some other great poetry collections I've read this year. So this one is 5 stars. This is White Van. What an original idea. What a cool idea. Meg Tuite. And it's also from Unlikely Books. I don't think I mentioned that. Well, Red Beard, hope you enjoyed my review. I hope you're enjoying all your books, all of them, as much as I am. If not, you are reading the wrong damn books.